Hey, Goldilocks, you want some of my sack lunch?
You're an addict. You get sentenced to jail.
Uh-huh.
When do you? There's no rehab or there's no detox. Like
Okay,
how's
so
that detox process
prior
work?
to prison, I had been to a couple of big time rehabs. Like my parents put me in Betty Ford Center. I went to the Betty Ford Center, and this came. Okay, so I went to the Betty Ford Center. Was it before? It was after I went to jail for a year. So I went to Betty Ford Center, and then I went to Crash Golden Hill House, which was a behavioral modification center. So Betty Ford Center, vacation, 30 days, but it introduced me to AA. That's the thing that introduced me to AA. Got the big book. Saw Eddie Van Halen. Never made it in. He made it to the receiving end and then bailed. Yeah. But I did see Eddie Van Halen there. So yeah, it was kind of it was really nice. The food was good. Got to play a little croquet, got to go to meetings, felt there was a couple of big earthquakes that happened during the time. But then the day I got out of there, we were partying like it was 1999. So to keep me out of prison, I went to Crash Golden Hill House, which is you're supposed to be there for a year, and it's hardcore. You can't leave for 3 months. And again, it's a behavioral modification center, man. It is like it's like the it's full on communism of authoritarian recovery. Like you can't cuss, you can't look at people wrong. People will tell on you. They really try to break you down and build you back up. I'll go over that in detail someday. But the recovery was getting in because I liked the meetings and I was starting to get in. So in prison, I know about so when I get here, even though I fell off the wagon, I'm aware of recovery. I'm like, I know it exists, and I'm aware of the steps and stuff, just completely ignoring them because I'm an addict. But it was in once I got out of Donovan. Once I got out of Donovan and went up to Folsom, that's when I started going to meetings. I mean, we're getting ahead of we're missing my first. So you get in a bus, shackled wrists and ankles for 16 hours.
Man, that's got to be pretty sobering.
Yeah, because we got to stop. Dude, it's terrible. And we have a bunch of stops. That's why it takes so long. You're making a bunch of stops at other prisons. It's brutal. You can't read. There's nothing to watch.
What do you got to go pee?
You tell them, the guard assists you to go and pee. Well, it just gets you up and keeps an eye on you and doesn't unshackle you. That's for sure.
Standing there with your wiener in your hand and your
dude, you got to get used to that. Like when you're in prison, you're shitting and showering and pissing in front of everybody. There's no privacy.
Right.
None. Yeah. You get used to it. You do.
Right.
But yeah, the brutal prison ride. Get there at night. Roll in. So getting there at night and rolling in at night means everybody's in their cell. So once you walk in, everybody's looking at you. Everybody's got their little peepers out, and the guy yells down to me, hey, I had this beautiful long blonde hair at the time, and he's like, hey, Goldilocks, you want some of my sack lunch? I'm like, fuck. So cut my hair immediately. Immediately.
At this point, you're thinking, I'm going to be a bitch.
I'm concerned.
Right.
I'm concerned. I'd rather die, but I'm concerned. I'm like, I don't even want to be put in that position. I'm going to make sure I'm not in that position.
Well, so how do you cut your hair if there's nothing sharp?
Once I got settled, I'm like, hey, where can I get my hair cut? And somebody's like, yeah, give me some cigarettes. Give me a couple cigarettes. I'll cut your hair. I'm like, cool, dude, let's go. So, but I got in. Some people are cool. It's like, what's up, fish? And it's like, can I bum a cigarette? And when I, get another one, some people say, sure, no problem. They're fine with that. They know what it's like to be fish. Fucking new guy. Right. But some are horrible. Some are horrible, including my cellmate, who was a horrible person. Horrible person.
How long before you were I mean, I'm speaking totally out of ignorance, right?
Okay,
Based off
yeah.
of movies and stuff.
Mhm.
How long before you were tested? Somebody came up and was like, "I'm going to fuck with this guy," or I'm going to try to fuck this guy.
A month. But it's fights. It's fight. No, nobody ever, like, nothing sexual ever was brought my way, like, ever.
After
It
the
just
first,
wasn't.
after the first scare.
I think, like, the Oz stuff is really over dramatic. I mean, there is plenty of consensual. There's plenty. I think that's probably maybe the stories people want to tell, but but I never, like, saw it because I wasn't looking for it, because I mind my own fucking business, man. Because
Right.
like with the people there are people there like this. You still find humanity in places like that. It's not like everybody's a monster. Like, there's a guy recognized, like, this is a young pup who's going into the wolves. So he laid it out for me. He's all, "Kid, here are the things you don't do." I'll try to clean my language here because there's a word YouTube will not like that he said. But he said, "Don't mess with drugs. Don't mess with gambling. Don't mess with the Film Actors Guild, and you'll be fine.
Got it.
You'll be fine."
So, so you go in about a month in. You said a guy kind of like comes up and gets in your face, gonna fight, something along those lines.
So you
right?
fight. You fight.
You fight.
You just fight, and it's gonna hurt.
You just know you're gonna fight. Are you scared for your life, or are you just like, this is just gonna be a fight? We're gonna fight for 5 minutes, and then someone's gonna break it up, and we're all gonna go
I
our
wasn't
way.
scared for my life. It was more posturing at that point. Like, you just know the difference. But it's easier to tell in there. That's why when you see what goes on in the street and you see some guy confront a homeless guy who's crazy, like, don't ever fucking do that. Don't ever do that, because that guy will kill you. That's the dangerous one. Some guy posturing, pumping his chest out, like, warning you, like, once I learned how to, like, deal with things in there. Okay, here's the first time. The first time it's just posturing. It's like, "What are you looking at, punk?" And I'm like, "What are you calling a punk, bitch?" And I'm like,
Right.
"I'm dead now." I'm like, I'm going to the hospital. I just knew it, but I had to say it, because I've been in enough to know to, like, I was in county. I know. I learned. I got my lumps in county. So by the time I was here, I was like, "Bitch." It was kind of like that. "You bitch."
Right.
Because, like, being prepared to just get my ass kicked. And I did a couple of times, but they didn't fuck with me after that. They're like, "Okay, he took his lumps. He's not a bitch. Like, this guy will fight back." Because I try to fight back. Even, like, there was a couple of times where people felt sorry for me and they stopped. Like, "You
Man.
got heart, kid."
right.
Go.
Rocky over here getting his ass kicked. You got
Can
heart.
I get a napkin for the blood?
Man, that's what an insane experience.
But
So,
eventually it turned into, if a guy says, "What are you looking at, punk?" I just popped him in the face. Like, that was my response. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to pop you as hard as I can in the face and hope for the best after that. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't.
how many fights did you get in
Like
prison?
8 or 9.
Jeez.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not very much. It's not very much.
Over the course of 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
2. Yeah. Right.
2 years and change.
Right. Man, that's crazy. Okay. So
And some were like lame. Okay, some were lame, and then, I mean, county was the hardest I got hit. Man, this guy hit me so freaking hard. I'm surprised I kept consciousness, but, like, I fell straight back. My glasses went across the room. Just, whoa, man. I have not. And that was a good punch, man. He was fast and strong, and it's like, so I get to the sheriffs pull me in because this is county. And the doctor's looking at my eye, and so what happened? I'm all, "Slipped in the shower." "Really?" "Yep." "Man, just went right down on my face. Crazy." Because that's what you got to do. And they know you're full of shit, but I'm like, dude, that's another thing. That's the first rule of anything is do not snitch. Do not snitch or you're dead. You're dead. best outcome is you go into protective custody, but then you get to hang out with all the pedos and fucking weirdos. So and cops and bad cops. It's like no, I'd rather die.
Man, golly, like there's this entire like people talk about being street smart and street smart, right? And I feel like you are a unique combination of both of them, where you're obviously super intelligent, but also have been through some real shit, man. You know, and it's very obvious because in a situation like that, I'd be like, the guy punched me so hard and it hurt, and I fell down and my glasses came off because I'm a giant pussy.
It hurt. It fucking hurt. But like, you know, it would hurt worse getting a like a nasty rusty shank shoved in between your ribs because you ratted somebody out. I'm like, you know, a punch in the face, not so bad.
Right.
It's all relative.
Hey, if you enjoyed that clip, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate that, so you can find more clips on the channel. And of course, come join us live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time for our live Side Scrollers podcast. We would love to see you there.